Hi, Matt. How are you doing?
What's going on, man? You're looking great, bro. How we doing?
Appreciate it. I'm good. My name is Pharaoh from the Reality Kingdom, and we can just hop into the questions. So, I saw you make a post on Instagram recently after the season, and it was kind of like a reflection of your time there. And in the post, you're mentioning your values and how that was really important to you in the game as well. And you've been talking about that kind of since preseason, and I kind of want to hear more about what your values are and how it affected the way you played the game.
Absolutely. Great question. First off, thank you for following and thank you for interacting with that. I think for me, hey, like I'm 25, like I'm figuring a lot of this out, right? Like I don't know a lot about how to make the best decisions. And ultimately as a young person, as I'm sure you can attest for too, like we're figuring out in real time, like in through mistakes, through hurting other people, through being hurt by other people. I think in my life up to this point, especially, things that have happened, even at the beginning of this year, I knew that like forgiveness and reconciliation always have to be the route that I choose. That there's a quote that says that holding bitterness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't make any sense. It's actually hurting you in the long run. And so I have definitely been hurt and caused enough hurt to know that forgiveness and reconciliation is the best route, and that unforgiveness and non-reconciliation is only going to continue to hurt me. So even in the midst of that situation, I know that that is the man I want to be, and that's the way I want to live my life. And I've experienced that in the real world. So in that moment, I didn't have to learn. You can't make that decision in a moment like that, in a high tense, high pressure situation when you're getting put on blast. We all know America's watching that. If that was not something that had already been established before, you can't learn that in the moment of that situation. So I was thankful that I had, and I got to apply it in that context there, and hopefully it'd be an example towards what I do feel like is going to be a step forward for our country and for all people.
I really appreciate that. And I appreciate that answer because I feel like it takes some balls to really go in that game and still want to maintain that. And honestly, Big Brother kind of has a history and a meta of not doing that, of kind of doing the opposite. So I kind of want to ask, when it comes to your other housemates who are in the game now, how do you feel about if they were to decide to leave their morals at the door, leave their values at the door, and then play this game really, really differently than how they are in real life? Do you appreciate something like that, or do you feel like the opposite?
Yeah, well, it's like I said in my Instagram post that we all have to make that decision, and the people make that decision on different scales and different levels. But what I will say is, as somebody who has been on the outside and then entered into the Big Brother house, to some degree, the degree you get to choose, but to some degree, you are going to have to let go of your values and your morals. And so I had felt like when that situation happened with Angela, that was crossed the line of the morals I was willing to let go of. And so I had to respond the way that I did, and I would do it 10 times out of 10. But if it went to telling a lie to advance my game, that's a different situation than something that's coming after somebody's personhood and character, how they were raised, their relationship with their mom, whatever that may be. To
Mm-hmm.
me, that crossed the line, that I was not willing to let go of those morals and values. But everybody has to make that decision for themselves. But from my perspective, I have sympathy and grace towards anybody that gets to play Big Brother, because you have to make that decision and then attest for it in a world where your morals and values do matter. So in the house, you can fluctuate and you can move around, and that's accepted. And it's why we love the show. But when you get outside of the show, it's a different story, because who you are is currency in this world.
Understood. Thank you so much. Okay, so here at the Reality Kingdom, we like to keep it real. So I want
But
to ask you a real question.
okay.
So I'm wondering, who in the house do you think was the most real and most similar to how they were outside of the game and inside of the game? And then also, who do you think is the least similar to how they are outside of the game, inside of the game?
Sure, great question. Obviously I don't know these people outside of the house, so this is just speculation. But I do think, obviously, I'm going to say Mackenzie was the most real for what she was in the house towards what I think she is on the outside. I think that's why we built a strong connection. Like I think we had very similar backgrounds. Us on paper, like it makes sense. So I think she was 100% real. I think she is who she says that she is, and how she's acting in the house is really, kind of how she is. So, that might be low hanging fruit for me to say, but it's really what I believe. who may not be, man, I mean, like I said, it's hard to say. I don't know. I mean, I don't know these people outside of the house. Could it be? I wouldn't assume Angela goes and yells at people all the time in real life. So maybe that's not how she operates. I know that she's a realtor and I don't think she yells at, her clients. So maybe that is a tactic or just a high stakes situation of which I understand if it is. But, I don't know. I'm excited to see and get to hang out with these people that I've grown to love and look at as family. And then, maybe I'll have a better answer.
That's fair. Okay, and I also want to ask you, you've mentioned a few times that you feel like Brooklyn is playing the best game. So, other than Brooklyn, if you had to choose a top three, who do you feel like are the top three players other than her and why?
Right. Well, it's hard to say so early. I can have an opinion. I think Brooklyn's definitely up there. I think Quinn has a really, really strong power. I
Hmm.
have no idea how that's going to play out. He's also moving around a lot, but getting in some sticky situations. I don't know. So I think Quinn definitely is up there. We'll have to see what happens and unfolds with his power. I'm super excited to
Hmm.
figure it all out. At the same time, honestly, the girl I'm rooting for is Takor. Like she's the one that I think I was the most surprised. I'm watching her diary room sessions. I'm watching conversations she had on feeds, and I'm like, yo, this girl was the one. Like if I had
Hmm.
to go back and work with somebody, she'd be number one because I think she's crushing. She totally got me. Like, I felt like she wasn't really having a lot of conversations and wasn't thinking about a lot of stuff and was still kind of processing being there. Weren't in the house very long, but the girl was moving and she's crushing it. And I'm cheering her on because she's the one that surprised me the most. So that's my ATL girl. I think she's crushing the game as well.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much for speaking to me. It was great speaking with you. Nice to meet you. You're a great guy, like they were also saying. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You as well. Thank you so much for all the love and support.